Hello, beautiful vegans. I'm Marikita Solis, and I'm excited today to talk about Main Street Vegan Academy, Unleashing Your Vegan Potential with Victoria Moran, the founder, and my beautiful friend, the founder of Main Street Vegan Academy. So, welcome, Victoria.
Oh, thank you, Marikita. Always a pleasure. You're such a positive person. It's always an uplifting experience to be with you.
Well, I'm getting your energy, and I'm just throwing it back to you. So, thank you. Yeah, so one as a vegan empowerment coach, it was a blessing to go to Main Street Vegan Academy. And I learned so much. And there was, in the experiences of being in that group were amazing. And it's just life changing.
Oh,
So,
thank you so much. Now, I
you're
have a
welcome.
rescue pigeon, and he just started making pigeon noises. Would you appreciate it if he went into another room?
Oh, well, we always loved him in Main Street Vegan Academy. Remember, everybody begged you to leave him there.
Okay,
Leave him
well,
with
if he doesn't bother you, I don't think he's going to bother me, but if he does, he has the run of the house, so he could have other rooms. So, what was your question? I got waylaid by a pigeon.
Well, I was just going to ask, when did Main Street Vegan Academy tell us the birth story?
Oh, it's a great birth story. It truly is, because it was a vegan miracle. And I actually believe that we are in the era, the time of vegan miracles, because it's really time for the animals. I've seen even in my lifetime, different groups of human beings have come forward to say, enough. We're going to stand up for ourselves. We're going to get allies standing up for us too. We are going to change things. And I've seen this happen for people of color, for women, for gay people, all kinds of people. And the animals are coming in this wonderful chain reaction of, it's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn. And I think once we get the animals and the earth, it's going to be everybody's turn. And we could really have that wonderful sort of Isaiah vision of this beautiful, beautiful planet that we're supposed to have. So what happened was I had sold the book via proposal. The book Main Street Vegan was not written, but in nonfiction, you write a proposal first. So the publisher had accepted it. But when I talked to them the first time, they said, oh, we're so excited about working with you, but we don't like Main Street. It's like, okay, it's Manhattan. So I thought, okay, I'll write it. I'll call it something else, but I couldn't come up with another title. So the miracle that happened was my husband and I were walking up Broadway here in New York, and there was somebody so famous, you could recognize him from the back. And that was Michael Moore, the filmmaker. Now, he had liked one of my books that I had written, a book about weight loss and body confidence and all that kind of stuff years before. And so he knew who I was, and we were chatting, and he said, I'm going to call you. And I thought, of course you are. Academy Award winners call me so often, it's getting really annoying. But lo and behold, he did. And in one of our conversations, I was lamenting this title thing. It's like, I know it's supposed to be called Main Street Vegan. The publisher can't stand it. And he said, they're wrong on that. Let me talk to them. So we had this three-way call. Michael Moore convinces my editor, and she convinces the higher-ups. And a couple of days later, when she called me to tell me that Main Street Vegan would indeed be my book title, it was like I was living in the middle of a comic book, and there were all those bubbles. There needs to be a Main Street Vegan podcast. There needs to be a Main Street Vegan production company putting vegan films out into the world. There needs to be a Main Street Vegan Academy training and certifying vegan lifestyle coaches and educators. So within just a few months, all that stuff started to take shape. And we had our first Academy program live here in New York City in June of 2012. And we are now on Zoom, so we can accommodate people around the world. You don't have to get a hotel. You don't have to depend on flights that are so often, it seems, canceled these days. And we just have a fabulous time over 7 full days together on Zoom. And at the end of it, people are certified as vegan lifestyle coaches and educators.
Yes, and that's wonderful now that we can that people can sign up on Zoom, because that opens it up to everyone, and it's not so you don't have to, you're right, you don't have to pay for a hotel, you don't have to pay for flight, but you can get this incredible information in your own living room. But it's a powerful experience because it's interactive with your guests. And
Yes.
Go ahead.
People often say to me, is it an online course? And I say no. And then they get confused because I think they're supposed to go somewhere. So it's online in the sense that it's kind of like what we're doing now. You know, we're communicating. We're not in the same room, but we're together. And, you know, we could share, you know, deep, dark secrets. We could do anything because we're together, you and me. And so that's the way it is when we have the classes on Zoom. You're live. You're right there. You're with the instructors. You speak with the instructors. And I get some dandy instructors, as you know, from having taken the fundamentals class. And then every few years, 3-4 years, we'll do a master class for graduates. And it has a good reputation. So I get really stunning instructors. So we have tiers. We've got vegan principles, and we have communication principles, and we have business principles. And so to cover all of these, some of our incredible instructors are physicians such as Dr. Milton Mills, Dr. Robert Ostfeld. We've had Dr. Michelle McMacken, Dr. Neil Barnard. We've got all kinds of amazing physicians. We always have a couple of MD classes. We have a resident registered dietitian, Marty Davey, MSRD, who teaches our nutrition classes for us. And then from the animal rights world, we have Jasmine Singer and Marianne Sullivan from our hen house. We have a fabulous vegan fashion designer, Joshua Catcher. His company is called Brave Gentle Man. He's been featured in GQ and Vogue, and celebrities like Benedict Cumberbatch and Alan Cummings have worn his clothes. It's fabulous. And then as we get up into the communication area, we have Jennifer Gannett, who's actually a graduate of our program. She's also an attorney and she's a mom. And she talks about working with mixed and blended families, that there are people that are trying to be vegan and maybe one of their kids wants to and the rest of them don't, or one spouse wants to and the other one doesn't. And how do you do this in the real world? And this just makes for so much more of an understanding and effective coach when you can work with people in the lives that they have. And then in the business section, we have people like J.L. Fields, who is, she was actually in the first class of Main Street Vegan Academy. She's gone on to be a mega cookbook author and a product advisor in the plant-based world. And then we have Stephanie Redcross from Vegan Mainstream, who's really a biz whiz and just inspires all kinds of people. And we've been having new classes about tech from a gentleman who is really an expert on what is happening in the world of technology. It's not just, okay, I'm going to go on social media and get myself a name. It's understanding of exactly where everything's going and being a step ahead. And that's Jim Spellos is our teacher for that. So it's a wonderful, wonderful experience to be learning from the best and the brightest, and to be able to communicate with them and talk with them, and then learn from your fellow classmates, and also be connected with everybody who's taken the course in the past. So we have some 600 graduates, and a very high percentage of them are on our private Facebook group. We've got graduates, and I think we're now up to 33 countries on 6 continents. So it also gives you lots of cool people to visit.
Very true. Yes, I have great memories of being able to interact with Dr. Milton Mills, asking questions and getting my question answered. That was so exciting. And then also with Ingrid Newkirk, asking my question, and it was beautiful that she sent me a beautiful book. So, I mean, this is an experience that I never would have had if I hadn't been to Main Street Vegan. Yes, it's very exciting. We're getting a lot of great comments over here. We've got, let's see here, we've got Angela Fischetti who's joining us.
Angela. Hey, Angela.
She's a game changer also. We've got JJ from Veganology, that she's really whole food, plant-based, really doing her best to educate. She's doing great. Subscribe to her channel. So we got, and Angela's also, we got Tams, who is a Franciscan. So she's beautiful and graceful, but yet powerful. She's graceful with confidence. So we got, and I've got someone, let's see, let us know who is joining, and please give StreamYard permission to use your name. So someone is saying Main Street Vegan Academy is the best experience I've had in my 20 plus years vegan.
Oh, wow. Who said that?
I don't know. Let us know who said that. Here's some, maybe the same person said, I've studied with Victoria Moran, author in the Main Street Vegan Academy twice. The time I've spent and the people I've met have been invaluable. Amen to that.
Oh.
Please let us know.
Oh,
yes.
Facebook user. Ooh, okay. Whoever you are, bless your heart. And thank you so much.
Whoever it is said, I think we're in the master class together. Yeah, let us know who you are. So, and here's another, I saw Dr. Frank Sabatino, which was, I'll never forget the information, because a lot of times I deal with mental aspects of coaching, but I need to know about health aspects. And so Dr. Frank Sabatino, watching his lectures and interacting with him it was such a powerful experience. Yeah. The more knowledge that I can get, and the more knowledge that we can get, the more we can help other people and help the animals, because it's all tied together.
Yes. Oh, Dr. Frank is just a saint among us. And I feel like as I plan each course, and every course, we have the same basic curriculum, because there are certain things that to be a vegan lifestyle coach and educator, you absolutely need to know. I mean, you need nutrition, you need animal rights, you need an environmental, this is the basics. But I also, and it's wonderful with Zoom, because we have a little bit of extra time, I can bring in people that just have such a gift for uplift. So whenever I can get Dr. Frank, he has incredible nutrition and health information, but he somehow infuses it with so much heart that it's just such a grace and a blessing to have him. And I really feel that when people become part of the Main Street Vegan Academy family, they just give us their best. Like at the last fundamentals class, Dr. Milton Mills was scheduled, and it happened that he was spending the weekend in Rochester with Dr. Ted Barnett. So we got both of them.
I know, I was so excited.
How else did this happen?
Yes, amen to that. Well, you never know, right? It's just a tremendous blessing. So, and then it looks like Angela's saying, I'm proud to call him my doctor. He changed my health outcomes.
Oh, yeah. And even though I'm not in that part of the world, I often call him when I'm just, at odds, because it's a very interesting thing. We were talking about this a lot this past week. I was at Vegan Summerfest, where I was just telling Ameriketa before we went live that Vegetarian Summerfest, well, it's called Vegan Summerfest now, started with the World Vegetarian Congress in Orono, Maine in 1975. So next year is going to be the 50th anniversary. I was at the first one. It's like, how does this happen? How do you live such a long time and it doesn't seem like it's been that long? And just with so much gratitude that I've known about this incredible way to live for a really long time. It's very, very special. So back in those days, people who were vegan and even vegetarian, because vegan was really much tougher back then, much more not understood. So vegetarian was quite a thing to be proud of, and still is, although certainly we want to move to vegan as quickly as we can. But in those days, it was very much about alternative kinds of healthcare, because starting with those early vegans in the 1940s in the UK, they didn't want to harm animals in any way. And that included pharmaceutical drugs that had been tested on animals and often contained slaughterhouse byproducts. And so the early vegans supported and really built the Nature Cure Center in London, where naturopathic physicians could be trained and people could go to the clinic there. And so it was very much, and Dr. Frank brings that in. So we're so blessed now that we have all these medical doctors, that we've got, excuse me, like Kaiser Permanente talking up a whole foods plant-based diet, where it's in the medical literature. This is great. And yet it's also wonderful to know where we came from and know that sometimes we can heal ourselves in very natural ways. And yeah, Dr. Frank always reminds me of that. So just to say, Angela, we are both the Dr. Frank fan club, and I'm sure we're not the only members.
Yes, it's very, very true. And to hear all the success stories from the doctors, it's amazing. It's incredible. And to hear the stories of how veganism first started was something that I never knew about. And that's so important, to learn the backgrounds and to know. And we both attend Unity, and to know that those founders of Unity were plant-based, and they made sure that their Bibles were not made from animal, didn't have leather. So there was so much.
Yeah. The 1890s, you know, I did a very abbreviated version of the history class that I teach for Main Street Vegan Academy. I did this week at Vegan Summerfest. And when you really think about the thinkers of the past who were really doing critical thinking and figuring things out for themselves, people that we admire for so many reasons, the percentage of them that were vegetarian back in the day when that had to be really, really difficult, I just love to think about them and remember them and be reminded of new ones.
Well, give us some examples, Victoria.
Okay, well, Tolstoy, for example, we know him War and Peace, and he used to be a big proponent of war, and he came over to the States to debate a pacifist, and it ended up turning him into a pacifist, and he became someone who took on this idea of peace for all beings, and became very staunchly vegetarian. William Booth, the co-founder of the Salvation Army, was a vegetarian. And while we're in religions, let's see, there's John Wesley, who founded Methodism, Ellen G. White, who was a co-founder of the Seventh-day Adventists. She's such an interesting story, because not only was she founding a religious denomination in the 1800s when women were supposed to not do anything pretty much outside the kitchen, and not only did she do that, but she was a mystic, and she claimed to have revelations. And many of these revelations were about health. So you can, to this day, read her book, Counsels on Diet and Food, and it's so fascinating to see what this woman came up with in the mid-1800s that are so much like what we're learning today from our whole food plant-based physicians. So utterly fascinating. Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, and her husband Percy Shelley, the poet, were vegetarians. And then have a couple of really interesting doctors and orators. We had Dr. Sylvester Graham, who probably would have been horrified at the graham cracker, but he invented something or praised something called graham flour, which was your really thick, unprocessed kind of flour. And in his day, they were just beginning to bring in processing of the flour and making white flour. And he believed that both animal products and refined flour products were very detrimental. And he also, as a Presbyterian minister, believed that if you would go vegetarian, it would be easier to give up alcohol. And I don't think we can even imagine at this day and age, we've got, AA for many decades, and there are all kinds of treatment programs and whatnot. Back then, if somebody was an alcoholic, that was it. I mean, it was death or an institution. They abandoned their families, and these were, of course, times when for a woman to make money was almost impossible. It was a serious, serious problem. So there was a big temperance movement that often crossed paths with the vegetarian and the pure food movement. And then there was another great doctor, Harvey Kellogg. And again, just like with graham crackers, I'm sure Dr. Kellogg would not be happy with most of the Kellogg cereals. But he was a Seventh-day Adventist and a gastrointestinal doctor who had some really prominent clientele, President Taft, Amelia Earhart. And then finally, he just thought, why am I doing all of these operations on people's guts when if they would just eat right, I wouldn't have to do that. So he became a doctor educator more than a surgeon, and started the Battle Creek Sanitarium. And these people were kind of eccentric. They were kind of characters, but we're all kind of eccentric and kind of characters. That's why we're so interesting. And it's just a wonderful thing to know that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And even in our own kind of generations, the late 20th century and the 21st century. I mean, you talked about Ingrid Newkirk. What an incredible woman. I mean, she founded PETA in 1980. The world is a very different place for animals because of her having been here. And, Peter Singer and animal liberation. So, and some of these wonderful young people like James Aspie, who didn't speak for a year, just to be in solidarity with those who cannot speak. I mean, we've got some cool people in this movement, and I get an awful lot of them to teach for Main Street Vegan Academy.
Right. And that was just a little snippet from what you're going to learn at Main Street Vegan Academy. And it's fascinating. So I see some more wonderful comments. Lucy is a good friend of mine. She's a coach also. And she says she's learning more about vegan plant-based meals. And I'm committed to eat plant-based meals 3 days a week. Started 3
Good for you, Lucy.
Yay. And that's the way it is. Just start and do the best you can and keep moving forward. So that's also Main Street Vegan Academy teaches you the nutrition and how to do it, easy ways.
Yeah. And we also, Chef Fran Costigan has a class about how to do a food demo, because very often if you just want to get out there and do outreach and everything, it's like, where do I start? What do I do? You can always do a food demo. I mean, you can call the local library. You can talk to the service clubs, parents organizations. Everybody is always looking for, how do you do the food? How do you do it healthy? How do you do it quick and easy? How do you do it cheap? How do you do it so that kids will like it? And adults who kind of have the tastes of kids will like it. And once you don't even have to be a cook. All you have to do is know how to make a smoothie or a salad or avocado toast and do it at a table and show people how. You can get yourself into Veg Fest. You can be all over helping people, because everybody wants to know about food. We talk about how, nobody can agree, nobody gets along. You know how we get along? We all want to taste the
food. That's very true. And so learning this, I mean, that really helped me because I wasn't always whole food plant-based. I just went on that journey in the past year. So going to Main Street Vegan really opened up. I mean, I learned a lot about nutrition, just like we said, but it was so powerful. And I still have the resources, I have my outline. I save my notebooks and all my notes to go back and refer to. And to be able to outreach to these wonderful guests that are very welcoming and they want to help. These are really committed, dedicated professionals.
Right.
That's amazing.
And it also, once you've been through Main Street Vegan Academy, you're connected to all the incredible people who have gone before. So the networking is really, really amazing. And So there are people, graduates who are working for animal rights organizations and for plant-based businesses. Lots of people have started their own businesses. We've got like entrepreneurs like crazy. We've got food trucks. I know we have one on Long Island, and the food truck did so well and won so many awards that he's now also started a restaurant. So Green Street Food Truck and Green Street Cafe. And then we've got wonderful vegan food truck, Gina's Vegan A Go-Go in Columbia, Missouri, college town. We've got Cat Mendenhall Cowboy Boots in Dallas. We've got Bomo Ice Cream in Mexico City, Riverdale Cheese in Brooklyn. I mean, just all over the place. There are people, you know, they kind of have an idea and then they just go out into the world with the idea. One of our lovely graduates, Carolina Malia, just had such a powerful story of emigrating from Venezuela, where the political system is not good. And it's very difficult. She has a husband, she has children, and they had to go through South America, and Central America. And it was just very, very difficult. And somehow through all of this, she became a very dedicated vegan. She came to Main Street Vegan Academy and decided that what she really wanted to do was be a vegan baker. So she went back to Florida and signed up for a cordon bleu cooking course, because Main Street Vegan Academy is not a cooking program, it's a vegan program. And she talked them into letting her take this course and do everything vegan. So there was 1 2-hour class about butchering or something, and they let her sit that one out. But all the other things, whether they had to make souffles or fish dishes or whatever it was, she was able to do it vegan. And then when she graduated, she started with the restaurant. That didn't work out. And then she had this idea for a bakery. So it's this wonderful bakery in Miami Beach, L'artisan. And not long after they opened, there was a big contest for the whole Miami area of the best croissant. And so going up against all these established bakeries and all these French bakeries, the vegan bakery won best croissant in Miami, because quality is quality, and we celebrate that at the Academy. So we've just got all kinds of people doing amazing things that you can connect with and talk to, and just kind of help them lift you up. It's like the people that came before, part of their responsibility is to help those who come later.
Yeah, and I found that when I posted for help in there, immediately I got help. I was looking for some guests on the live stream and some connections, and yes, people stepped up. It's so great to be part of that community. I've learned so much. And then after the classes, even the presenters sending still gifts out, like Jim Fellows. Yes, he sent, which was a beautiful Zoom link of it was free to the members of the class. Mm-hmm. And so I got to sit in on some informative things about how to navigate our new technology out there.
Yeah.
And it's made a big impact on me, and everything I've learned has, because as a entrepreneur, we need all the help we can get. And Main Street Vegan Academy is in, like you said, in the business, and then with the health and the nutrition and all these different areas, the animals. And then we're talking about the clothing. So in every way possible. It's amazing.
Well, and I appreciate your willingness to talk about it so much. And I'd love to also talk about some things that your listeners here are interested in and want to hear about. Oh, hi, Carrie Ann. Facebook user is Carrie Ann.
Carrie Ann. Yes, and so we got Angela saying, what's the name of the bakery in Miami Beach?
Oh, L'Artisan. It's L'Artisanne.
What was it called again?
L'Artisan.
Okay, great. All right, yeah, so if you have questions for Victoria, so I think it's amazing how you are an example of tremendous health. Because I know so many people that are, as they age, they're on all sorts of pills and on just they're very sad and depressed because of physical state. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I think I went to listen to Ruben Guzman last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's here in Atlanta. So we went to dinner, a bunch of us, which was
Ooh.
exciting, and hearing so many stories about people turning their health around, but also that the mental, I mean, that positivity, that and the people coming together, the community is so important. So what would you recommend to people, well, that don't have that community? How do they get,
Mm.
how can you be part of, if let's just say you're living in a town and you feel like there's not many vegans, what would you
Yeah.
say to them?
Well, I mean, that's one great thing that the internet offers. But I would say get to know people one-on-one too. You know, it's one thing you can be on vegan forums and all, and lots of people can click like, and then you're just as alone, you know, when you leave your screen as you were before. But if somebody is really interesting to you, you know, ask if you can reach out, ask if you can actually get to know them, you know, on the phone or something, so that you really feel supported. And then any kind of thing that you do, any kind of course that you take, you know, I mean, we really pride ourselves on that at Main Street Vegan Academy, because I'm kind of a connector. I was telling somebody today I was probably a matchmaker in my last life, because I just love, it's like, oh, you have this interest. Oh, you live here. You need to talk to this person. And so we do a lot of that, but certainly anything you're doing, you know, any kind of, you know, we're all doing these kind of Zoom gatherings. And if there's somebody that has something in common with you know, see if they're interested in actually being a real friend, you know, the kind that can't be unfriended. And
Right.
I just think too that to see everybody as a pre-vegan is really cool. So anybody who does anything, so your friend that you know is not vegan most of the time, goes to a vegan restaurant with you, or goes to some other restaurant but orders vegan, maybe just to be nice to you know, you celebrate that in them. You know, a relative tells you that they bought, I don't know, soy milk. It's like, yay for you, you know. But we have to know that sometimes it's hard for people. And I mean, it was hard for me. It was hard for me to go from vegetarian to vegan. It took me longer than I wish it had, but you know, it took as long as it took. And maybe that just gives me more empathy for people. But, you know, we just want to celebrate everybody's progress, you know, and not judge how fast we think it is. And I think sometimes we have this idea like the animals are counting on us. And if I can't make everybody that I run into vegan today, I am failing. But you know what? We can only do what we can do. I think that life on earth is kind of frustrating because there's so many stops and starts. There's so many 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And once you get it, that it's kind of like the rules of a game. And the game for living on earth is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be easy, but you just keep at it. And I guess that winning is that at the end of our lives, we can look back and say, you know what? I did some good.
Amen to that. Yes, I love that. And so we're getting a lot of nice comments again here. In, well, let's celebrate Lucy because we're talking about celebrating, and she's working so hard, and she made a chili plant based. So yes, and I am like you, Victoria. It was hard for me, like vegan, vegetarian, vegan, back and forth, and so just to have compassion, what you said, I just want to echo that's very important. And I think this might be Carrie Ann again. You're quite the vegan matchmaker. You're a vegan matchmaker.
Aw.
Connector. Yes. And Tam saying thank you for all you do with both Main Street Vegan and the Compassion Consortium. Can you tell us about that,
Yeah,
Victoria?
I would be honored to. That was actually my husband's idea. And when I married him, you know, I've always been really into spirituality. I've got a degree in comparative religions. I've been doing yoga since I was 17. That's how I am. And there was a time I was widowed young, And after that, I would only date spiritual vegetarians. And I did that for several years, and it just was not working out. And so I thought, you know what? You're 46. Nobody's going to marry you. So just date anybody nice, no matter what they eat or what they believe. And so I met my husband and just thought, we'll never get married. I'm 46. And we did. And at the time, he was an atheist and he ate meat. And he stopped eating meat after 2 weeks, which was really cool because he hadn't really thought about it. And so that was good. The vegan thing took several years, but he finally came around to that. And I still was just laboring under the impression that he was an atheist. He never told me that he wasn't. And then one day, 2019, he said, I think I want to go back to school. Well, that wasn't all that weird. People do that. But then he said, I want to study theology. And then I just had to pick my jaw up off the floor. It's like, you're supposed to be an atheist. He's like, I want to study the religions of the world and find out why they have so failed God's non-human creatures. So he was looking around at programs and he found the One Spirit Seminary and became ordained in 2021. And while he was in seminary, he conceived of this idea of a spiritual center, completely interfaith, people of any faith, no faith, people who are in a faith tradition that is very meaningful to them, and those who have left faith traditions, because so often when you're vegan and when you're very sensitive about the animals and everything, it's hard to be where people aren't. Like we had a lovely lady early on in one of our after service breakout sessions, and she said, I've been Baptist my whole life, but I just couldn't go back to that church after they roasted that pig. And there were just a lot of people, in those circumstances. So my husband, Reverend William Milton, and his dean at One Spirit, Reverend Sarah Bowen, who happened to be vegan and an ethical vegan, and myself started Compassion Consortium back in April of 2022. I mean, I get so confused with dates. Anyway, it was a while ago. And so we meet one Sunday a month. It's always been the fourth Sunday. I think we're going to be changing to the third this fall because we always end up running into Thanksgiving and Christmas and other problems at the end of the month. But anyhow, you can go to Compassion Consortium.org and find out all we do. So we have wonderful monthly services when we have a special spiritual guest, and we have a compassion and action person when we talk to somebody in the community who's doing just very cool, compassionate, interesting things. And we've got music and meditation and all kinds of things that you would expect in a spiritual service. But this one is not only interfaith and interspiritual, it's interspecies. And we honor and recognize all the beings on this planet. And we do other things. We've got book and film night, and there is an animal chaplaincy training program that's part of the consortium. So we are just as busy as we can be. And the other thing that's happening is the Compassion Consortium is the nonprofit partner for a feature film project. William, my husband, and I are the co-writers. It was really his idea. I always want to give him, the most credit for that because I'm kind of nonfiction and he is the story guy. So Miss Liberty is a feature film, a family feature film about a cow who escapes from a slaughterhouse and the human drama that ensues. And what's so cool about it is that a lot of people who could stand to hear this message are not going to watch a vegan or a plant-based documentary. It just doesn't seem like it applies to them. It's like, why? But this is a film. This is a movie. This is something you would take your kids to. Maybe you'd go to McDonald's and then you go see this movie with a cow in it. And the message is planted in a really, really good story. So, Yeah, so that's just happening. We're just getting the Miss Liberty website up. We don't have that just yet, but if you go to my author website, victoriamoran.com, and click on other projects, you can read a little bit about it, and you can contact me if you'd like more information and if you'd like to be part of helping this movie see the light of day, which it will. We're halfway through our development funding, and we've got some actors you would recognize. Oh, I can't talk about them yet because they're not officially attached, but things are really happening, and it's so thrilling because, for the animals, this is it. And, we were talking before about, do you push your veganism onto people because the animals need that? No, because that doesn't work. But if you have an idea, like we have this wonderful movie, we're just going to keep going out there. And, if doors close in our face, which, we've had plenty of those, okay, just go to the next door, because that's where that kind of maybe more aggressive spirit can come out. We don't want that to come out one-on-one. I mean, I don't want to go up to somebody and say, do you know you're eating a dead animal? Because either they don't or they don't care. And so that's not how I choose to do it. But I choose to be brave and do this movie and do these other things even when they're scary, because the animals are counting on us. So if you're interested, if you have any interest in learning more about Miss Liberty, just be in touch on Victoria at mainstreetvegan.com.
Amen. Yes, I can't wait for Miss Liberty.
I'm so excited.
We got some more wonderful comments. Let's see here. We've got, I was single and I thought I was going to be alone. I was 46 when I met my husband too. I love consortium. I'm not religious, but it has a calming effect. One vegan meal at a time is more than enough.
Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you for sharing all that.
Yes, very beautiful. And Angela's saying, best of luck. I know you have a lot of projects. Go forth and conquer. Amen to that. Yeah, and I hope you all definitely go check out the webpage, Victoria's webpage, to find out more about Miss Liberty. So I do have a question. Someone was telling me today that, I've heard this a lot, but one person doesn't make a difference. What would you say to that?
Have you ever heard of Mahatma Gandhi? I mean, it's just like, yes, one person makes a difference. And I don't think you really know, unless there was a way, maybe after we die, we'll be able to see this, unless there's a way you could kind of lift yourself up like a drone and look at the whole history of your life and see the people that you've influenced and see how something that you did that you don't even remember changed the trajectory of somebody else's life. So you just don't know. You don't know if one kind word, if one smile, if taking a minute to give somebody directions or whatever it is, you just don't know how important that is in the overall scheme of things. And I'm a big believer in the ripple effect, that you do something and it's good, or I guess it could also be bad, but we don't want to think about those ripples, but you do some nice, good, sweet thing. And then that puts somebody in a better mood. And then they go home, and instead of arguing with their spouse, they have a nice dinner. And then maybe the spouse comes up with some kind of brilliant idea that can help a lot of people or a lot of animals. You just don't know. So you just go out into your day every day believing that everything you do makes a difference. Because it does. There's a beautiful poem by Francis Thompson. It says, "Thou canst not disturb a flower without troubling a star," because we are all connected.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Who wrote that?
Francis Thompson.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's beautiful. Here's another sweet comment. Thank you for celebrating me for my efforts and making me feel that I'm part of your group and that I can do this my way so I can succeed. I truly appreciate
Absolutely. The only way we can do it is our way. And that's not just true about going vegan. You know, there's just so much. And I think we're living in an era now where people are put in boxes. And you give somebody any kind of label, or you take one on yourself, like vegan, or you could be liberal, or you could be conservative, or you could be whatever you want to be. And so it's like, oh, here's your box. Here's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These are all the things you have to check off. Well, maybe you want to check off something from somebody else's box. And I found this early on as a vegetarian, because people would just assume, oh, you're a vegetarian, then you must like to garden. Well, no, actually, I don't. I admire other people who do. Not my thing. Oh, but you must really like nature and going hiking. No, actually, I don't. I like New York City, and I like little cafes and nice conversations and Broadway musicals. You know, and it doesn't come out of the box that people think I'm supposed to fit into. So I just love it when people just are who they are and find ways to recognize themselves that really works, that really fits. And then we bring our own interesting multi-box selves to experiences and really enrich them. And then we also are giving other people the privilege of being able to be a little quirky, of like, yeah, I'm A, B, C, D, E, F on this box that you think I ought to be in, but G, H, and I, I'm not going there. I'm going to take some from over here.
That's definitely true, right? Yes. And there's a lot of things in my box where people would think, where did that come from?
Exactly.
Right?
Like, you like country music, right? Have we talked about this?
I do like country music.
I do too. I love country music. And you just think that a vegan living in New York City, like how could you? It's like, I don't know how, I just know I do, because I love words, I love stories, I love the visual tales that country music is just so good at weaving. So yeah, if somebody doesn't think that's vegan, like I'm supposed to only like, I don't know, folk music and punk rock, you know, think that about me if you want. It's just not the truth.
Right. Let's escape the box. And so Angela's saying right here, stepping outside of the box is always fun. Always keep them guessing.
Yes.
Yes. Always keep them guessing. Yes. So what do you think has been the greatest accomplishment in your life as a vegan?
Greatest accomplishment in my life as a vegan.
Or one of them?
Well, I'm going to tell you a couple of them, because I can't really pin down one. Well, one is raising my daughter vegan. And I was still lacto-ovo vegetarian in pregnancy. But from the time she was weaned, she hasn't had any animal food, and she works as a stunt performer and an aerialist. She's about to go on the Middle East and Australasia tour of Marvel Universe Live, both as an aerialist and playing Rocket Raccoon. And she's strong, she's powerful, and she's really courageous. You know, you'd never really want your kid to go into performing, because it's just so full of heartbreak. We came to New York when she was 17. She had some beginner's luck. Then she stopped to go to school, and it was everything dried up. And there was this long period when, you know, she'd get a little something here and there. But, you know, with a lot of day jobs and a lot of just kind of being, she became a wildlife rehabilitator during that time, which was lovely. And then in 2018, she got a tour. And then, other than a few little breaks for the pandemic, she has been working as a performer nonstop ever since. I'm so proud of her. So she's probably my greatest vegan accomplishment. Another accomplishment I'm really proud of are the people that I've reached through my writing. And the one that I think of first is Bruce Friedrich. So Bruce Friedrich, for anybody who doesn't know that name, is a wonderful guy. He spent many years at PETA. He was at Farm Sanctuary. He became an animal rights attorney, and he is now the executive director of the Good Food Institute. So he's influenced hundreds of thousands of people But back in the late 80s, I got a phone call from this young guy who said he was a student at Grinnell College. And he said, "My name is Bruce Friedrich, and I wanted you to know that I read an article you wrote in the Animals Agenda that was in my college library, and I've become vegan." And I'm like, okay. And then he went on to become Bruce Friedrich. And one of the authors of Skinny Bitch said to me years ago, she said, "You never need to do another good deed. You made Bruce Friedrich vegan." And so that's that whole thing about the ripples. You just never know who you're going to influence. And I guess the third thing I'll say, because I like thinking in threes, is my Main Street Vegan Academy graduates. So I don't have grandchildren, but I have graduates. And they're on every continent except Antarctica. And they're doing amazing things. And that's the cool thing about teaching. So anybody that's thinking about teaching or speaking or starting a podcast or, whatever it is that you're kind of, mulling around in your mind, the cool thing about that is then you've got the credit, for lack of a better word, for what you do, but also for what all those people do that you influence. And that's really, I think, the closest we have on this earth to immortality.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. The ripples will go on after we're long gone. Everything that we've done, the legacy that we've left, and how we treated people. Exactly. I love that. And those were some great examples. Angela saying, "Yay for Victoria's daughter, strong and powerful." Amen.
Oh, thank you, Angela. If anybody wants to follow her on Instagram, it's a daring girl with underscores. So small a underscore daring underscore girl. And she posts some amazing videos of aerial stuff and stage combat and, all kinds of cool performance stuff. It's really fun.
That is amazing. That sounds like something we'd all want to do. At least I would. That would be fun.
And that's some animals. They were driving. They had been rehearsing in Florida, and they were driving to Tennessee, where they had performed most recently, to see some friends. And they stopped because there were two armadillos. And so they were in the video. You can always count on vegans to take pictures of animals and food. We won't let you down.
That's for sure, right? Oh my gosh. Well, tell us again how we can, if somebody's watching and they want to go to the academy, they want to check it out, what do they need to do?
Just go to mainstreetvegan.com, read all about it. It should answer all your questions there. If it doesn't, you can click on where it says book a call, and then you can speak with my assistant, Marie, who has also taken the course and is very good at that. Or if you'd rather contact me, just contact me, Victoria at mainstreetvegan.com, and I would happily answer all of your questions. And the course, I'll just say it, the tuition for the course is $1,295 and $1,295. If you need a payment plan, just click on make a deposit, and you can pay out over 4 times, or you can get a discount, and I'm going to give you a code right here. So if anybody is interested, all friends of Mariquita are friends of mine. So the discount code is kindness15 for 15% off. And the course this time, our next one is starting in September, and it's 7 full days, and we're going to go over 4 months so that there's time in between to to really get the reading in, watch the documentaries, mull the stuff over, talk with each other, and really, really have it stick.
Yeah, so that sounds great. I love that. Time to process everything.
Yeah.
Definitely. And how long is is it 1 day class, or how does that work?
It's 7 full days. So there's 1 weekend in September, and 1 in October, 1 in November, and then a single day in early December to make the 7 full days. And it's recorded as well. So if you have to miss a class or a day, you can make that up.
Oh yeah, that was my next question. Recorded, because I know that sometimes people have, I mean, we have a life, so
Of course. And then the other thing too is if you ever want to take a live class over again, or if you had to miss a class and you got it in the recording, but you really wanted to be live with Dr. Mills or whoever, you can always get that the following year.
I want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, because I did have to admit, I remember I was actually in a parade and I was on the truck and I was trying, we were going to the parade, Georgia Animal Rights and Protection. I was trying to listen to Dr. Mills at the same time because I'm a big fan of his. So yeah, there were so many that I was trying to get at the same time also, but also be an activist too. So yeah, that's the way it goes. Welcome to the activist world. Yeah. But when we all stand up for animals, we make a difference.
It's true. It's true. And I mean, I remember when animal rights was not a phrase, when the idea of being vegan was pretty much unheard of, when anybody that spoke out against animal experimentation was just considered some kind of quack. I mean, so much has happened in my lifetime. So it's kind of dazzling what's going to happen going forward.
It is. Amen to that. And I just want to again say Main Street Vegan Academy is a life-changing experience. I can't even go over all the knowledge that I learned about my own physical health. To take that and to be able to share that with other people is just, it changes their lives. So definitely sign up, because it's not going to be there forever, right? September is when the class is. You want to sign up and get in.
September's coming up. You need to sign up before then. And please, if you have any issues, if the financial issues, if there's any way we can help you, spreading things out over time or whatever you need, just be in touch, because I want you to have this course. I want you to be a vegan lifestyle coach and educator and take it out there into the world and either start your business or write your book or your cookbook or, whatever it is, because these are the things that our grads do. It's no longer in the, oh, golly, someday I wish I could do. No, you don't have to wish anymore. Just come to Main Street Vegan Academy, then go out and do it.
Amen. Go out and do it. Take action. So I'm very inspired by this. And I just want to thank you so much, Victoria, for coming and sharing this knowledge and how people can elevate their lives.
Thank you, Mariquita. Hanging out with you is a good way to elevate your life too.
Thank you. And thanks everybody, Angela, JJ, and then we've got, let's see, who else was, I'm not remembering everybody. Tams,
Cherie, Carrie Ann.
Yeah, everybody. Thank you all for watching, because you all are changing the world with us. And I'm proud to stand with all of you beautiful people. So namaste vegan, everyone.
Namaste vegan.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.